Paratrooper Cooper. Listen up, my friends, to the story of Paratrooper Cooper. In 2002, I was stationed at Anderson, AFB, Guam. Every year we had a humanitarian Operation Christmas Drop, where we airdropped donated rice, toys, clothing, and hygiene products to the local Marianas Islands. The rice was staged at the yard awaiting shipment, and was already palletized with cargo chutes attached. December 8th, we had Super Typhoon Pongsona drenches and 25 inches of rain, which unfortunately ruined the rice pallets and attached chutes. Later that week, our expeditor, let's call him Brian, since that was his name, saw the chutes in the dumpster, and decided to dig one out. It was definitely soggy, and I could see why it had to be thrown out, as it was no longer serviceable enough to drop a 1,000-pound rice pallet out of an aircraft. But that didn't mean we couldn't have fun with it. Even though we didn't have any aircraft scheduled that day, we always had to maintain a standby emergency tow team and had nothing better to do than mess around. After leaving the chute to air out on the picnic table for an hour, we stretched it out to see how big it was. I would guess it was about 12 feet wide. Whenever the wind would gust, the chute became very difficult to hang on to. Brian gathered the ends, ran in the same direction as the wind, and jumped. It carried him a good 3 to 4 feet farther than a normal jump, which made me say these fateful words: "Ya know, if we could go fast enough, we could definitely get airborne." Brian coined the term land parasailing, and our plan was set in motion. While Brian went to his truck to get a 100-foot nylon rope he had set aside for water skiing, someone else went to our tool crib and checked out a fall protection harness. Someone else went to get their SUV that had a hitch on it, and I decided we could use an upside-down folding table to prevent grass stains from getting on our uniforms. By this time, night shift had started to show up, so we had 2 shifts worth of spectators. The first guy brave enough to try it was a real skinny guy, probably weighed $150. We had an Eagle Scout tie some fancy knot on the D-ring of the harness, and lashed the other end to the SUV hitch. I was the safety observer. Ha, safety right? That was in the back of the SUV with the rear glass up, telling the driver to speed up or slow down. The kid took his position on the folding table and gave me a thumbs up. I told the driver to give it some gas, and the kid started sliding across the grass. A few seconds later, the chute filled up and this kid went airborne. He was whooping and hollering, and you could tell he was having a blast. He flew up to the full extent of the rope, all the way up, even with ballpark lights on the edge of the flight line. A few hundred feet later, we ran out of grass to drive on, and the driver put in the clutch and coasted to a stop. The kid made a perfect landing and ran himself to a stop. Our day shift pro super, let's call him MSGT Cooper, decided he was going next. He already had a few beers in him. When the boss popped his beer, we knew we were released to go home. We expanded the buckles on the harness to fit Cooper, 6'2"-ish, 250-ish lbs. And when we were fitting the harness on Cooper, we noticed that the pigtail that was previously 6 inches long was now only an inch long. We realized we needed to retie the knot before he tried out the land parasailing. We worked on the knot for 5 minutes by hand, each of us taking turns trying to untie it. We upgraded to pliers, and eventually put part of the knot in the table vise with 2 people tugging on the other side with vice grips. 20 minutes later, the knot hadn't moved at all, and Cooper says, "Well, if that doesn't untie the knot, nothing will," and gives us the go-ahead to hook him up to the SUV. Just like before, Cooper gives us the thumbs up. After the SUV gets up to speed, like 15 miles per hour is all it took to get airborne, and Cooper is even with the ballpark lights. I hear this loud smack, and yell at the driver to stop. Quote, in hindsight, Stopping was pointless. The loud noise was the elastic nylon rope smacking the bumper of the SUV like a giant broken rubber band. Cooper lost all forward momentum when the rest of the pigtail wormed its way free of the knot, since he was at an angle being pulled forward by the rope. At first both he and the chute fell downward at the same rate, without any air filling the chute. It collapsed and he sped toward the ground. I thought to myself, oh my God, he's going to die. At the last second, his body had finally swung under the chute enough for it to open up partially, and he hit the ground at a slightly reduced rate, and bounced. 10 guys were all running to him from different directions to see if he was okay. As we were running, a big gust of wind caught the chute and he started being dragged along the ground, off the grass and onto the asphalt, toward an aircraft tow vehicle. We veered away from him and started jumping on the chute to collapse it again before he picked up too much speed. We nervously check on him and breath a collective sigh of relief when we see that he is still breathing. Someone yells, "Call 911," but this smart fucker groans, "No, call my wife." We call his wife, run inside to get a rolling office chair to wheel him over to the parking lot, and a few minutes later, his wife pulls up to take him to the hospital. In the silence that follows, all of our assholes pucker up as we realize how much serious shit we're in. The night shift pro super announces to everyone that he was in his office the entire time and had no idea that any of this was going on. Plausible deniability, he said. We really didn't know what else to do. So day shift went home, and night shift sat around trying not to make eye contact with each other or think about how stupid we were. The next day, there was an email from the first sergeant that said simply, "Be careful when you are on your roof setting up Christmas lights. Definitely don't be on your roof after you've been drinking." Huge sighs of relief for all when we realized that brilliant bastard covered for us all. No mass piss test, no paperwork, no on-duty alcohol-related incident. Just a simple off-duty safety mishap. I can only imagine what the doctor thought, as Cooper had road rash on his shoulder from being dragged across the asphalt. His t-shirt had torn away completely, and a hairline fracture on his ribs. But apparently he played along as well. We swore to never tell a soul, but I think my buddies will forgive me for sharing with Reddit 18 years later. TL, Doctor. Fuck you. Read the damn story. Edit. Holy shit. Thanks for the reward. I love this sub. No homo. Best TL Doctor ever. 1. Welcome to the sub. Point 2. TL Doctor needs fucking zero refinement. 3. Fucking hilarious because I am perfectly picture this and may have done something similar, but from a very high tower. Retrospect super dangerous and we just assumed we would probably live. 4. You've got a follower friend. Lol! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. And I'm totally stealing your TLDR. Sounds like something I would have given a go back when I was young. Immortal and invincible. That's about 30 years behind me now. Great story. Great save. Not sure if I would have had the balls to go up in that rig. Beer or no beer? Great one. Alcohol and military toys make for good fun. Smiley face. And that's how MSGT Cooper legit earned his airborne wings that day. But like many before him, his heroic actions were never to be recognized beyond those who were there that day. He should at least be recommended for an AFAM for taking one for the team and protecting them from being in the direct line of fire. Ha ha ha, I love it. Also, I have never read a TL Doctor like this, and I hope the trend continues.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. FuckeryUniveristy is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.